You're listening to Inclusive AF with Jackye Clayton and Katee Van Horn.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Inclusive AF podcast, the place for real talk on inclusion, equity, and all things that make workplaces and the world better. I'm Katee Van Horn.
Ooh, that was so nice, Katee. And I'm Jackye Clayton. How are you doing?
Living the dream, Jackye. Always living the dream.
Always. Well, today we're diving into a topic that's long overdue and very personal to me. Black women's exhaustion and why radical self-care isn't just a nice idea. It's really a necessity right now.
100%. And we're pulling from some powerful pieces, and we'll tag all of them in the show notes. But we got some articles from The Root, from Voice Online, from Hood Communist, the Nap Ministry, Ebony. It's all about talking. It's all of these articles are really about why 2025 is shaping up to be another year where Black women are expected to hold it all together, and why that has to change.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like when things aren't going well, like what's happening or what's not doing or what people aren't paying attention to and having to carry those things so often. And it's just exhausting. We all remember what it was like during the first administration, and here we are back again. And so it was just time to do a real reality check, right? Like the article that was in The Root hit really hard, it's Black folks are really bracing for what 2025 is bringing. And who's always in the front lines is Black women, like literally expected to lead, nurture, advocate, fix, and stay strong, all while enduring the same systemic nonsense that we're fighting against.
And I think the Hood Communist article really lays it bare. Black women are exhausted. They're exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally. And it's not just about working hard, it's about how the world keeps stacking the deck against you. And it still expects you to show up smiling and saving the day without any type of help or support.
Right. And I think that historically, if you go back through generations, it really has to do with taking care of your families and trying to hold all the things together. I mean, it's not just work, like you said, it is from constantly having to prove our worth, but also stepping up to be examples for our children and make sure and fight against already archaic tropes about being like the angry Black woman and all trying to be heard at the same time. I mean, that's exhausting and tired of watching our communities struggle while people act like it's our job to fix it and we're not supposed to talk about it.
So I guess my question to you, and kind of as part of this conversation, is how do you even recognize the exhaustion when it's been so normalized and it's been just a conditioning that you're under, that you just need to push through and prioritize everything, everyone other than yourself?
Well, I think for me, it took a long time. I've been doing that more in the last 5 years than ever before. And quite honestly, I don't know. We've talked about it a lot, but maybe not in this context about back when had to get the hysterectomy and when I was in pain for so long. And when when you were asking about why had I hurt for so long. And it was just weird to think I never, ever once thought about a life without pain ever.
Mhm.
Like I just never thought, not that you get used to a certain amount of discomfort and pain. And so then when I thought from just that perspective that there are people who are walking around without pain or like stress and anxiety, then I'm like, oh, I shouldn't feel like that. Because remember, you were like, no, you shouldn't feel pain ever. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Not every day at 4 o'clock, you don't get a headache. Like, what are you talking about? You're like, no, and it's not normal.
Mhm.
I honestly didn't know that. And I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know what I thought
Right.
was supposed to happen. All I know is like watched my mother as an example always push through and never complain when she had a headache or never had a sick day unless she had like 103 fever, So trying to put all that together, but then also talking about it, to talking with other people about what they're going through. Today we're talking primarily about being Black women, but also just women, where we, now that we are women of a certain age, where it's like, did you know that this thing happens? Like, this is like, did you know that that's not normal? Like,
Mhm.
it's not. And something else is normal that seems completely not normal. Like, what's happening to the back of my knees? Like, what's that? Um, so really it's about been checking in and also being very vulnerable, but then trying to start from a place of peace before making up any decisions.
Mhm.
And I think that has been interesting. Most recently, I was just at a conference and so many people were like, what's going to be your next step? And I was like, there's kind of been a lot. Like, I need a moment to kind of digest. And I know maybe I should have had a better answer, but I know what I'd like to do, what I think I should do, but I need to rest to get my head straight. And that's the other part. Like, if my blood pressure is going up or I feel like I can't catch my breath, I don't want to make any decisions because I need to figure out what that's about.
Right.
And I think that that part becomes so important. And it really kind of talks more about what we want to talk about next, because it's like self-care, like not the stuff that you're just want to put on Instagram of me and a margarita by the pool, or like, oh, I'm taking a bath and I have a head wrap and two cucumbers on my eyes, but like radical self-care, like the voice online and the Nat ministry say rest as resistance.
And
That's
and to
what
be,
I'm
and
feeling.
to be clear, Jackie, sitting by a pool with margarita and cucumbers over our eyes is also good stuff.
Yeah,
However,
not saying no to that.
it's not what we mean in this context. And I
Right.
think
But still not gonna
no.
do that
And
if you're
I
in.
think one of the folks that I know you and I both have been really following and paying attention to is Trisha Hershey. She's the founder of that ministry. And that's exactly what she says. She calls rest a form of liberation. And I think that is just so powerful and just such a cool way to think about it, because it's always been black women aren't supposed to rest, and that strong black woman trope doesn't allow for rest to happen, and truly rest, like you said, it's not just work, it's not just home, it's just being able to take a beat and say, what do I want to do next, or how do I want to think about this, and just breathe.
I mean, yes, and the article that we are going to reference again from Ebony, that hit me up really hard because it talks about how Black women have been conditioned to believe that rest is lazy or being selfish, but rest isn't a reward. Like, it's a right, and I always feel so guilty about, no, I don't feel like doing that right now, or that isn't my number one priority, or like I feel like I have to give proof of why rest is needed. And I think so many people feel like that. Like, you're not allowed to prioritize yourselves. Like it's been stolen for us from generations. And I always think about like African Americans, and you think about like slavery in this country, all while being told that you're being lazy or taking care of other people's families or children, or having to hold that burden and go through life on a good day. It's just stressful when you have to live partially in fear. And we've talked about it in terms of work and psychological safety at work. But some people I don't think right now a lot of us feel safe. Like there's so much uncertainty. And then there's just an extra burden because we know most recently so many Black women rallied and tried to put all these things in place, or we didn't think it was going and ran to try to make it better. And now we're seeing the world that we voted for. That's where we're in. And then people are like, hey, I didn't know that's what's going to happen. Like, what are we going to do about it? Why aren't you so mad? I mean, even on LinkedIn, I was just at a conference and there's literally people on the conference saying, why aren't you saying free this person or liberate these people or whatever? And it's like, dude, are you serious right now?
Mhm.
Like, I don't understand. Maybe it's just not a good time to start
Right.
adding things outside of what our main purpose is.
Yeah, I think that goes down a additional path of like quit punishing people for not doing what the work that you think they should be doing. But
And not saying that they're doing it, P.S.
right, right, exactly. You're not saying I'm doing this thing and then you're not. It's just it shouldn't be an expectation. And I think that's something that like workplaces need to hear.
Right.
I think you and I will agree that Black women are superheroes in a lot of ways and have been superheroes in a lot of ways for all of history, but they shouldn't have to be. And it shouldn't be an expectation. And it's not hey, let's burn a person out and call them resilient. And so what does radical self-care really look like? And Jackye, I don't want you to speak for all Black women, but
Right.
what do you mean when you think about, radical self-care? What does that look like for you?
I do think that one of the ways of being radical self-care is not feeling guilty about asking for help and receiving help.
Mhm.
Um, and also it's radical self-care to literally spend time with people that I can be genuinely myself. I think right now for me that's radical self-care. Um, like when just coming in town and hanging out with you in Arizona and eating that yummy, delicious chili that you make that I want some more really bad. Like it just felt so good to just sit there and,
Don't be telling people about my secret white chicken
it's
chili.
so stinking good. Like you dream of it.
Okay, that's a secret family recipe. Just kidding. It's really not, but it's so good.
It's really freaking good. But it's like, knowing that you don't have to be on or you don't have to be worried is radical self-care. So I've been trying to surround myself with the people that I love and the situations that I care about as well. I don't not forcing myself to do something that's gonna make me uncomfortable. That's not necessary.
Mhm.
I've been doing that.
And and I think the piece for me, as I reflect on this, watching you over the years, there is this energy about you that I love and I think everyone loves. But I think it's again, it's an expectation that you're going to be the most energetic. You're going to be the most of all these things and being able to just say, I don't want to do that right now. I just need a minute and having people recognize and not feeling like you're letting them down because you need to pause. You need to say no. You need to have some time. And so, I think that's the piece that I always want to understand like from that, and again, this is you specifically, but I think it can be translated into organizations and into leadership and how do organizations celebrate Black women and all women of color for that matter. And when you're breaking barriers and saying, hey, I I've been pushing, I've been pushing, I've been pushing, but we don't want to ever talk about the toll that it takes on them personally, professionally, all of these things. Um, I think that's a piece that does get difficult.
I think that the biggest piece is reducing friction. And I don't think that and this is for every group when you're trying to help of offering different things of not trying to like solve the problem. A lot of times you can help by reducing the friction and making it easier for me to be able to do that thing.
Absolutely. I
Like don't say, oh, well, what do you want for breakfast? Like, do you want this or do you want that? Or do you want this? Or we can have muffins. We can have, now you're adding work to me. That's not helpful. Now I'm freaked out.
right.
But you also don't have to do the Katie route, which is buy all the pizzas and then
Mistakes were made. I can't even. Well, I'll tell you, you will laugh at this. I did the same thing, but not on purpose in Guatemala, where I thought I was ordering a pizza that was half and half. but it was 2 pizzas. And I brought it back to our hotel, and Vanessa, my friend, was like, what? What? I don't understand. And I'm like, I don't either. I thought I knew better Spanish. My Spanish is not good right now.
Gross.
I'm trying my best here with the Spanish.
Of course. I think that's funny. But I feel it's like knowing when to say no and also reserving different places where I'm putting myself first in a world that demands that I'm coming last, right? So it's putting myself first. And it kind of goes back to the let them theory too, where it's like, I'm gonna let you think whatever you want. I'm not gonna get in the way. So okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's like the answer is no.
yeah. And I think I'll share anecdotally, I had someone on my team who has some stuff going on with her family. And, she has 2 young kids. And, she was on a call and just said, I need a minute. And then I just, hey, whatever, like if you need to drop from this call, just drop and you and I can talk later. And when I got on a call with her, I'm like, what's going on? And she shared. And I said, have you slept?
Right.
And she said, no. And I'm like, okay, you don't need to work the rest of the day. Go take a nap until you have to go pick up your kids. And she I was kind of taken back by me saying that. I'm like, if I'm exhausted, I am worthless. I
Right.
cannot get anything done. And I think everyone who knows me and has been in my life for any amount of time knows I like sleep. I like a lot of sleep.
Right.
But I
Right.
also think like I am the biggest follower of the concept of the nap ministry, where I'm like, if I take a nap, I will feel better afterwards. And so like it is also like, how do we bring this into a team setting? How do we bring this into the workplace to make it more visible to people that this is what is happening as you're constantly pushing on Black women, as you're constantly asking for more, more, more. And again, that the toll that it takes on the person.
Well, it's one of those things like when you're talking about, especially at work, if you don't have time to do it once, then you don't have time to do it twice. Like you're going to have to end up doing it twice and it's going to make it worse, you know? And so the strength isn't getting things done all the time, but the strength in you looking at yourself. And again, it's difficult. We're always told as Black women specifically about, oh, we're standing on our ancestors and these are the things that we have to do. But it's really about creating a culture where you don't have to be strong all the time, you know, and to have that mental health support, understanding work balance, like that's where the allyship really happens, where you can see it and help reduce friction to try to make life just a little bit easier. Can you do that? Can you help a sister out?
You bet. And I think, as a white ally, I think that really means that us, especially those of us who are leaders, need to stop waiting for Black women to teach us how to fix it. Again, that just is one more thing. Like you said, okay, what do you want for breakfast? Do you want this? Do you want that? Like, stop making them do the work. That emotional labor has to stop. All of that labor has to stop. So I think that's a huge piece to it as well, as leaders, we need to stop saying, oh, they'll tell us what they need.
Right. Like if you're listening right now and you think I should ask the Black women in my life what they need, please don't, because you're just giving work. Do your own homework. Read the Nap Ministry, read Ebony, read Hood Communist, and then make the changes without putting more work into the place. And I think that was the whole point that got lost during the before times when it was like, no, do your own work. And it wasn't do your own work and then wait till you see me and then you can try to dump it on me and make me feel like like you're really smart. And then doing all just do the work without expecting reward or direct input and
Mhm,
make space
mhm.
for people to be who they need to be in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely it's about like, let's dismantle these systems that we've built that have been us profiting off of Black women's exhaustion and Black women doing all of the work. And it's not about, and I know we had an amazing podcast episode where we talked about thriving versus surviving. And I am not remembering the woman's name. So Jackye, you guys all know I'm the worst at this. So we'll put it in the show notes because I'll have to look it up. But we're like, everyone is supposed to thrive, including Black women. So
Right.
how do you do that?
Right. I mean, I don't, I, it just seems really strange, I think there is a disconnect if it where we don't have friends culturally and you think we're all on the same page, even if we think we're fighting the same fight, and where it's like, no, I'm exhausted because
Mhm.
it's felt like it's been like that for years now and being exhausted. And I feel like, you know, Black women deserve to rest, right? If you're a Black woman listening, I want you to take the time to nap, to say no, to put yourself first. You don't own anybody your burnout and you have absolutely zero obligations. It's funny. I don't know if you've heard this statement, but there is something that is very common in American Black culture where someone asks you to do something. You say, I don't have to do anything but stay Black and die. And I don't know who was the first person to say that, but it's always like so dramatic. The only thing that I have to do, what I have to do, as soon as someone says, "Oh, you have to," it's like, That's the only thing I have
Don't
to
really
do.
have an equivalent in the white world. It's truly more of the only things that are real in life are paying taxes and death. So I don't,
Yeah,
yeah, not the
it's a
same.
version of that.
Yeah,
But it is a version of that.
yeah. But anyhow, I think as an ally, I want to just dig into this just a little bit more and just remind folks that this isn't a situation where you go to your Black friend and say, what should I do? How should I solve this?
Right.
And I'm reiterating what Jackye already said because I think this is something, as you said, got lost a little bit with the initial DEI movement of recent years. It's a time for us to really stop and go, what would I want? What would I need? Or how do I go do some research myself and learn? And, read the articles we're sharing in the show notes. Think about how you can show up as an ally and stop leaning on Black women to hold everything together for everyone else. And, it's really time that we all step up and make that change. So, I think that's the piece that we keep forgetting, that this isn't a, hey Jackye, what do you, and I know I asked the question, but I did preface it by saying, I know you're not
Right.
all Black women, but what is
But
it you want?
and also like and part of the reason that it's kind of come up and why I thought it would be important is because we keep seeing all those town hall meetings and all the pushback. And if you look in the audience, you will rarely see a Black person in the audience
Mhm.
because it's like, that is y'all's fight. That
Right.
is your fight. I am not going to explain to you how I've been disenfranchised. We've been trying to say this for a million years and nobody is listening, going to try to do in that spot. Somebody else has to pick it up. So that same thought process where it's like, what can I do to make this situation? Just do it.
Mhm.
Whatever you feel like you can offer, just do those things for people that are going to be tired. And regardless of people say it to you or not, there's an extra burden going on and it affects people physiologically throughout their whole body where they can't tell you. And there's a lack of trust that's going on where people may not feel comfortable sharing what they're going through right now.
Well, I think I'm going to call out one other piece too, Jackye. Right now we have Jasmine Crockett, who is basically the voice right now. I think
Jasmine's still junior. It's like a senator. Like they like
she's a United States representative. She is just trying to say, like, how do we get rid of this fanaticism and this insanity that's going on? And she's
right.
getting beat up at from every corner. But again, it's an expectation of, oh, well, she's got this, so nobody else has to step up and talk. And it's like, no, everyone from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party to every other party needs to step up and be that voice of reason and say, this isn't right, this is not okay. And so I think we are looking to folks like Jasmine Crockett and others to say, oh yeah, can you go ahead and do this work again? And it's so frustrating because it's also the how many Black women said to us, go look at Project 2025. Go,
Right.
and now we're watching that playbook play out.
Right.
Everyone, and like to your point, people are like, oh, that's so surprising that he's doing these things. Well, he told you he was going to.
All right. And then saying, are you going to go to this rally? To be like, no,
No, I'm not. Yeah.
I already said, was already said that this was a problem. Already said not to do. Already put the vote. Already took my, drove and took people to make sure that they voted. Already made those things. So it's like I'm gonna have to rest through this and save the energy for what really, really matters, and making sure that we have it, because right now, y'all, it's still only March.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the thing. I mean, we're barely into it.
Barely into the seat isn't even warm.
Yeah.
The decorations are not complete.
No.
And there will be a time where there'll be another rallying cry
Mhm.
that will come up where we're going to need to be able. But right now, take the time to rest so that when the good fight happens, that you do have to rally behind, that it's true to yourself and you're doing things not because you feel like it's expected, but that it is true to yourself and about something that you care about within your own community.
So, what are your final thoughts? What are the things that you want to make sure people heard during this episode?
I just want people to know, like, instead of asking what you are going to do, look at the things that you yourself are able to do and ask yourself, are you coming from a place of rest, a really well thought out place? Because I don't think that just Black women need a break. Like, I think people need a break, but you should be asking yourself, um, of that piece. But also, I want, especially Black women, of giving themselves permission and not being afraid of looking, you know, weak, or that you have, or feeling like you have to be strong all the time. Take the rest you need so that you can show up as your best self. If you're exhausted, you're not going to show up as your best self anyway.
Yeah. And I think I will say that I will speak for all of the white people if you're ready, Jackye.
Okay, all of them.
For all of the white people, I would like to say, it's not on Black women to always step up, take the nap, say no. Like, I think saying no is also another one that is so hard for Black women to do, because it is, again, back to, I'm trying to prove myself. I'm trying to be the one. I'm trying to do all the things, but you don't have to say yes every time. And as an ally, we need to be okay with Black women not saying yes to everything. It's time for us to step up and really change that. So,
Thanks,
well,
Katie.
well, no,
On
not
behalf of all the white people.
white people, all the white people.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks, all the white people.
Yes.
I don't know if I can accept it on your behalf, but
Yes. Yes.
I am very grateful. Like we were saying, take a nap. Don't get burnt out. Know your signs of when that is and try to figure out what radical self-care. Go out today and collect things that bring you comfort, whether it's just, a rock from when you go outside that you appreciate, or sit and pet your dog. Like, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but gather the things so that when you feel it creeping up, that you can start taking care of yourself and doing the things that bring you joy.
Absolutely. And if you're an ally, again, check yourself. Just be ready to step in and step up as allies. So thank you all for joining us on the Inclusive AF podcast. This is Katie Van Horn.
And this is Jackye Clayton.